all things cannabis. This is CannabisRadio.com, a service of Cannabis Media. Stand by for another great hour of CannabisRadio.com. But first, let's get you informed with news around the world in 90 seconds.
This is USA Radio News. I'm Melody Burkett. The White House is at odds with the Speaker of the House over closing the Gitmo Terror Detention Center.
Ryan's comments also contradict the stated view of people like Senator John McCain and Senator Lindsey Graham, and all of whom have acknowledged the way that the prison at Guantanamo Bay undermines our national interest.
Presidential spokesman Josh Earnest says closing the prison is a top national security priority. House Speaker Paul Ryan says Gitmo prisoners should remain there. President Obama has called Gitmo a recruitment poster for international terrorists. Doctors Without Borders is releasing a report saying U.S. warplanes shot people trying to flee a hospital they were bombing. The hospital was mistakenly bombed October 3rd as Afghan government forces were trying to retake control of the city from the Taliban. 30 patients and medical staff died in the bombing. This is USA Radio News, powered by westernjournalism.com. I'm Melody Burkett.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. British Prime Minister David Cameron has defended the suspension of UK flights in and out of Sharm el-Sheikh after talks in London with Egypt's president. The EU says it expects some 3 million refugees and migrants to arrive in Europe by 2017. And the U.S. Congress is starting months of debate over whether to endorse the recently agreed Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every day. Medical marijuana is my last resort, and it helps me when all other drugs have failed. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Doc Rob, the concierge for better living.
Cannabis is just one of the many great plants that we have on this planet called Earth that we can use consciously and intelligently to improve our well-being.
Take a real, raw, inside look at healthier living while sharing great ideas and improvements for a better quality of life.
Learning to live and live well is a lifelong process. This is a journey. You could be 80 years old or 8 years old. You can still learn something that's going to make tomorrow a little bit healthier, a little bit easier, a little bit happier, a little bit better.
The concierge for better living with Doc Rob. Only on CannabisRadio.com.
It's time once again to Hemp Present, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Sowing the seeds of cannabis and sounding the praise of our favorite plant. It's time to Hemp Present. Our radio resident hempo sapien Vivian McPeak will present a weekly platform for guests and listeners to Hemp Present about hemp and cannabis from the legal, activist, and reformist route. Let's round up and roll it up for our headmaster of hemp, Vivian McPeak.
Welcome to Hemp Present, the weekly radio show where you can get your PhD in THC because you don't just want to burn it, you want to learn it. Seeking to defeat prohibition one interview at a time and advocating for the plant, the whole plant, and nothing but the plant. Join us for weekly radio rendezvous with some of the principal risk takers, movers and shakers, and history makers of the cannabis industry, culture, and reform movement. I'm your host, Vivian McPeak. I am the executive director of the world's largest annual cannabis policy reform event, the Seattle Hemp Fest, in its 24th year, founded hempfest.org. I'm also the author of the book Protestival, a 20-year retrospective of Seattle Hemp Fest from AHA Publishing. Transmitting from a fortified bunker under a ramshackle reefer Radio Warren at an undisclosed location deep within the bubbling bowels of underground Seattle, my goal is to spread the green flame of 420 truth in 30-minute increments. Today's guest on Hemp Present will be Cannabis Radio's own Nurse Heather from the show Good News with Nurse Heather, who will be joining me in a few minutes. But first, after a century in hiding, it appears that marijuana has finally gone mainstream. Once largely relegated to countercultural associations and appearances in obscure Cheech and Chong movies, the spongy green plant matter has come out of the closet and is enjoying its moment in the sun. In fact, the weed appears to be in need of a hotshot publicist because the calls are coming in like never before. Geraldo has the munchies. Dr. Oz is looking for an ounce. Hell, Judge Judy probably needs a hookup by now. Things that never happened in the old world are becoming routine as marijuana storefronts operate with impunity in several states and millions of dollars in badly needed tax revenues are being counted daily. Interestingly enough, the sky appears to remain firmly intact and our roads are still apparently safe to drive on. It all started with California's Prop 215, which legalized medical marijuana in the state when voters approved the measure on November 6, 1996. In 1998, Washington voters approved I-692, which made marijuana legal in this state for qualified patients with a legit doctor's recommendation. 2012, marijuana legal for all citizens 21 and over. However, under that pesky old federal law, marijuana remains highly illegal and more dangerous than meth. That's why Washington State Civil Air is still watching us closely from above. Lucky us. During the same period when citizens were voting to approve legalization in this state, the Air Patrol was flying over a Stevens County property near Spokane, Washington. They identified a small patch of marijuana on some private property that belonged to 71-year-old Larry Firestack Harvey and family. It should not have been very hard to see since the Harveys had erected a huge plywood sign with a green cross on it, the universal hallmark image signifying medical marijuana. They were collectively spending thousands of dollars at medical dispensaries, so they decided to take advantage of the fact that they lived in a state where it was legal to cultivate their own. After all, pot was legal in their state. What could go wrong? The home was raided twice, once by state and local law enforcement and once by the feds. Larry Harvey had his charges dropped after he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. May he rest in peace as he succumbed to the disease before his wife, son, and daughter-in-law were sentenced. One other defendant took a plea bargain. The remaining defendants of the Kettle Falls 5 case this week received their sentencing. Rhonda Firestack Harvey and her daughter-in-law Michelle Gregg were both sentenced to 1 year and a day after being found guilty of cannabis cultivation. Roland Gregg, on Hempresent only weeks ago, was sentenced to 33 months in a federal prison. All three were released pending appeal. Jail time for the Kettle Falls defendants is an embarrassment to the judicial system, proclaimed Americans for Safe Access Executive Director Steph Shearer. We're calling on President Obama to pardon all three defendants immediately. Indeed. This serves as a continuation of the scorched earth policy of prohibition, which does little to protect Americans or serve our communities. Let's imagine a day when medical marijuana patients are treated with the dignity, the compassion, and the respect that all people deserve who are battling illness and disease. And we also need to honor those who are working to guide patients toward the societal harm reduction and myriad benefits that I believe medical marijuana offers to us all, which brings me to my guest today. Nurse Heather is a native New Mexican and a registered nurse specializing in all aspects of medical cannabis care. She currently holds a position on the board of directors for the American Cannabis Nurses Association. She's a medical advisor for Sacred Garden, a licensed nonprofit producer in New Mexico, and she has her own weekly radio show here on CannabisRadio.com called Good News with Nurse Heather, and she is here with me today. Welcome, Nurse Heather, to Hempresent.
Hello, Vivian, and hello, listeners. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on today.
Our pleasure. Now, Heather, I want to start off by letting you know two quick things. First of all, I think that you may be the first guest on Hempresent whose hair is actually as long or maybe longer than mine, which is unique since my longest dreadlock is almost to my knee. And that's a real accomplishment. It's really cool that we have the same birthday. And so happy birthday, Heather.
Happy birthday to you. I mean, I guess it's something about that October 3rd Libra thing. We know how to grow hair. So let me ask you the questions I always get asked. How long have you been growing your hair?
I cut my hair the last time I had my last formal haircut in 1972.
Okay. Let's see. What's another one that I always get? Do you get tangled up in it at night when you're sleeping?
I actually throw it over the side of the bed. I throw it off the bed.
Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. I could come up with a few more, but I have friends that hang with me and they say, we're just going to buy you a t-shirt that has the answer to all of the questions. So when someone sees me, I'll be wearing the t-shirt that says 18 years. When it's out of the braids, it goes to the ground. No, I've never dyed it. And the last time I cut it I trimmed it 10 years ago. So anyway, there you have it.
You don't get the one that I get with the dreadlocks all the time. Now, So I heard you can't wash it or it'll come out. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, I actually, mine are braids. I don't have the dreads. I comb it out every day and rebraid it. But, those are the other questions too. How much shampoo do you use? And is it hard to wash? So
Doesn't
anyway,
it hurt your neck?
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say, hair today, Gandhi tomorrow.
There you go, baby. Well, I like my hair today. And I said I've gone with it gold my whole life. When I'm older, I hope it goes silver. So go from gold to silver. I'm cool with that.
I'm already there, darling. I got my hair on top silver and the dreads on the bottom are still brown.
Gotta love it. So
you went to the Vegas Hemp Fest for your birthday on Saturday, the Las Vegas Hemp Fest, which is licensed from Seattle Hemp Fest. How was it?
It was fantastic. I was in the educational expo most of the time as I was speaking there, and, the Cannabis Nurses magazine was representing, and Ask Nurse Julesy. So we had a big nursing presence. They are doing a lot of education. We brought nurses in from all over the country that are American cannabis nurses, and we just dropped knowledge bombs right and left. I didn't get to indulge in maybe as much music and fun as I would have liked to, but I definitely enjoyed the educational aspect of it. It's a lot of fun. And, that happened on Saturday, but on Thursday, we actually had a red carpet event for the launch of the new Cannabis Nurses magazine. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, this whole weekend, they actually surprised me for my birthday and put my photo on the front cover of the first issue of the Cannabis Nurses magazine. And
nice.
So that was quite a great time. I will tell you, I wanted to see, I knew that Sublime was going to be playing. And so someone had said, hey, Sublime's going to be playing soon. And so I ran over to where they were actually having the music and all of the vendors and that. Went over there and all the people were coming in a flood. They were dripping wet. They were high on excitement. And they had just finished listening to Sublime. And my heart shattered into a million little pieces because I love Sublime so much. But because I'm Nurse Heather with good news, the good news on that was at the after party for Hemp Fest for VIPs, Sublime played a private party for us, a private concert. And so I actually got to, for my birthday, stand right there with them while they were playing within, touching distance. I could have touched him if I wanted to, but I was too busy dancing.
That must have been sublime.
It was sublime. It was superb. It was fantastic. I had such a
Heather,
great time.
for the benefit of my listeners, you are the kind of cannabis nurse that doesn't run around in like a leather corset and like.
No, this is also a frequently asked question.
Are those the different kind of? That's like 420 nurse is different. Right?
Yeah, there is some confusion there. 420 nurses, they're all about promotion and they're there at the events and they're beautiful and it's wonderful, but they're not registered nurses that have gone to school, to nursing school and received a degree. And so that's the difference. Cannabis nurses really we're medical professionals who understand the importance of the endocannabinoid system, and we are beginning to be able to utilize and work with cannabinoid therapeutics with patients all over the nation, and it's very exciting.
Well, cool. And we are talking to Nurse Heather from Good News with Nurse Heather on CannabisRadio.com. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause because there's flaws in the laws. We'll be right back, find out a little bit about how you got inspired to be involved in the healthcare industry and work with cannabis. So we will be right back.
Time to roll out for the people that let us hemp present. Hang loose. We're coming right back.
Dr. Dabber, hurry! Its temperature is shooting past 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's burning up.
I'm afraid for this little guy, it's just too late.
What caused the problem?
Only Dr. Dabber can maintain the perfect temperature for a smooth-tasting, slower burn. This standard vaporizer lost all of its health benefits, sending it up in smoke.
So you're telling me that most vapor pens burn so hot they produce smoke, not vapor?
Correct. Keep away from those standard vaporizer pens and turn to Dr. Dabber. Doctor's orders.
Less heat, more flavor.
Ganjapreneur.com, your guide to the cannabis business world. Ganjapreneur.com is a comprehensive resource for cannabis professionals and entrepreneurs. Download the Ganjapreneur app on your smartphone or tablet to catch up on cannabis industry news, scroll through our daily job listings, and learn about successful cannabis companies, executives, and investors. Ganjapreneur.com, helping Ganjapreneurs grow.
From high atop Mount Soledad in San Diego, California, 100 feet above sea level. Good morning. It's good news with cannabis nurse Heather.
This plant is amazing. Positive change is happening. We did it. No matter who you